Much time has passed since the destruction of the controller. Humanity has not only survived above ground, but flourished. The corporate war rages on harder than ever. But as old land is reclaimed and fought over, a mysterious region only filled with danger is discovered. This area is the Silent Line. So now we can get into the thick of things. Silent Line is the direct sequel to Armored Core 3, coming out 10 months after its predecessor. It does little to innovate in terms of new mechanics like Armored Core 3 did, yet it's still my favorite game in the whole series for reasons I'll explain over time. Before I go any further though, I just have to say this game is really hard. Probably the hardest game in the series. Get used to seeing this screen a lot. The format is the same: complete missions, participate in the arena, and spend all your money on new AC parts. You can start a new game or import your save from the previous game, which is what I did. If you do start fresh though, you do have a wide selection of parts to buy right at the start, and the shop even expands before the game gets too difficult. The main thing you're going to be missing out on is OP Intensify, or at least in theory. There's a few new additions like the camo pattern instead of the regular. It's nice to have a second option, and surprisingly there's a new feature where you can equip an AC and program an AI to fight. This is something we'll talk about more later in the video though, as it's geared more towards endgame content. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to mention there's 198 new parts. Yeah, that's right, 198 new parts. To put it in perspective, Armored Core 3 only had 231 parts, which is almost half of what's in Silent Line. Now some of these parts are reskins of other parts, but they're modified. Things like damage and weight and ammo can go up and down depending on what you want. The options are nice to have, but make no mistake, there's still tons of newly designed parts, like these solid shot orbital cores. They do higher damage and don't take energy to fire, the downside being they don't regenerate ammo. These cores would be ideal for something like the arena. We also see the return of linear guns that we haven't seen since the PS1 games, but they're a little bit different this time around. Instead of just being a back-mounted pistol, they're more used for overheating your opponent, and they have a bigger projectile size with its own cool explosion. In fact, there's a lot of weapon designs around overheating in this game, and I'd say it works pretty well. Something else I'm pretty sure is new are these laser blade arms. Sadly, they're not powerful to justify the heavy weight. Same story for these dual back-mounted chain guns. Another new part is these back-mounted boosters that drastically increase your boost speed. Now the most important parts that have been added to the game are the side weapons. Armored Core 3 had a flamethrower and howitzers, but Silent Line adds in just about every main hand weapon type over to the offhand. You got rifles, machine guns, snipers, handguns, energy rifles, just about everything you can ask for. But it's kind of weird how offhand weapons work. It shares the lock-on of whatever main weapon you're using. So in other words, if you're offhanding a grenade launcher while using something like a machine gun, you'll have a huge lockbox, which makes weapons like the sniper and grenade launcher a pretty good choice. But it also works in reverse. If you use an offhand machine gun with something like a sniper, you get none of the benefits of having that machine gun. And also it doesn't really work with missile launchers, so keep that in mind. I like the offhand weapons, but some of them just don't have enough ammo. You can run out pretty quick with the machine gun or the rifle, and you also have to keep in mind you have 3 main weapons to cycle between, so sustaining fire from your offhand weapon won't last forever, which is why using a laser blade is still a good option. Dual wielding does have a pretty big issue, and with me saying that, it's finally time to talk about the controls. I've been able to dismiss it all the way up to Armored Core 2. It was a launch title, but Armored Core 3 and Silent Line have no excuse. So let's take a look at the controls. Bumpers control strafing, triggers control looking up and down, left stick up and down move forward and back, and right and left on the D-pad control your turning. All these buttons you need to be able to press at a moment's notice to control your movement and keep on target, so they're a priority. Square is to shoot, X is to boost, triangle is to switch weapons, and circle is to use your offhand weapon. Now square you can be ready to press at any time, and X you can somewhat accurately press while having your thumb on the firing button. Triangle isn't as important because it's just used to switch weapons, but now all of a sudden circle is a mandatory button. When you use a laser blade it's not that bad because you can reset your pointer finger while the animation plays out, and yes, I use claw technique, and if you want to play this game you'll probably have to as well. But the thing is, with offhand weapons, you need to be able to accurately press and unpress whenever you lose lock-on, and for some offhand and main weapons you can't just hold the button down to continuously fire. So pretty much your hands are in the most awkward position fiddle-f***ing it, and it's mainly a big issue whenever your opponent is really mobile. You don't really have the finger dexterity to tilt the camera down with the right trigger, and now that I went through that complex headache, I'm just going to talk about it more simply. So looking at games like Jak and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy, and GTA 3, they've been out for close to a year before Armored Core 3 even came out, and Ratchet & Clank came out half a year before Silent Line, so there's really no excuse at all for the piss poor controls. And it's sad too, because anyone that wants to try out Armored Core, I'd probably suggest Armored Core 3 and Silent Line, but yeah, the controls are just such dog shit that I can't really do that. And before anyone goes typing in the comments that you can remap the controls, I just want to say yes, you can. But you can't program the right stick in any directions, which just confuses me so much. The controls are the biggest downfall of Armored Core 3 and Silent Line. I thought it was worth saving the rant for Armored Core Silent Line because of the offhand weapons, but let's continue on with the actual game. The arena is exactly what you would expect coming from Armored Core 3. Once again, you have to upgrade your mission rank to progress to the next ranking in the arena. And one minor change is parts are rewarded every time you reach the highest rank. In Armored Core 3 you would have to do missions, and then your first victory in the next level of arena would give you a part. But now you actually get it for maxing out your position in that ranking. There's only 44 combatants instead of 72, but I really didn't notice this because it gets hard quick. There's 2 cool new maps worth mentioning. There's a military district which has tons of buildings to blow up, and Treen City that was a location in a few of the missions in Armored Core 3. Funny enough, there's no missions in Treen City in this game. I'm glad they added it in, it's a pretty cool stage. So yeah, it's the arena, it's what you'd expect. I had a lot of fun with it. Now what makes this my favorite game in the series boils down to the missions. You can still hire MTs and have them grow into pilots, but oddly enough this stops about halfway through the game. It was really hard for me to find a boring mission, which might stem from the game's difficulty, but the biggest improvement is the parts you get in the missions. Just like Armored Core 3, you can find hidden parts and complete untold objectives in the mission for more parts. But what differs from Armored Core 3 is the frequency which you get them. Every mission has at least one part, but some missions have up to 5. The average is about 2 or 3 parts to unlock, which is honestly huge compared to the previous game. In the last game you got a part once in a blue moon, but this game it just throws them at you, which is what makes this game so addicting for me. To give you some examples, this mission has you protecting a cargo plane that's transporting a new part while it lands for refueling. It reminds me of a certain mission from the PS1 games. But anyways, if you blow up the door in the farthest hangar, you can find a really good offhand grenade launcher laying on the ground. And if you destroy 37 attackers, you get an offhand handgun. And if you just destroy the back of the transport, you can pick up the 3-burst rifle. It'll fail the mission, but you'll keep the part. And there's even another part. If you keep the transport above 60% health, you'll get an energy gun that fires 2 shots at once. Another example is later in the game where you have to destroy an Armored Core prototype. Beat the mission without losing more than 40% health and you'll get a right arm grenade launcher. There's also a solid shield laying somewhere in the mission, but I wasn't able to find it. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's solid shields. And you can even get 3 more parts, a multi-shot back rocket, a core, and a large missile launcher. And you can acquire these from killing 1, 2, and 3 prototypes towards the end of the mission. I'd say the 10 months of development were used perfectly when it comes to making a sequel. Add in a crap ton of parts in a game that's all about customization, and add in fun, challenging levels to earn those parts, all while retaining all the awesome new changes that have come from the previous games in the series. And I also just want to add the missions weren't as repetitive to me as the Armored Core 3 missions were. I do want to spend a few minutes talking about some cool levels. This mission has you sneaking past patrol helicopters at nighttime to make it to a base you have to take over by morning. It kind of reminds me of another mission from Project Phantasma. There's a hidden part if you go down one of the wrong paths, and if you make it to the finish line in 50 seconds, you'll get a part. Once you make it to the fort, just destroy all the enemies defending it. Another level has the ugliest thing I've ever seen in an Armored Core game. And of course there's 3 parts you can pick up or unlock on this mission. This next mission shows off how missions can change based on how well you're doing.
Raven, find a way to get their attention.
Blowing up vehicles will get the security to come get you, but if you destroy cars fast enough, you'll be attacked by an AC instead. Another mission has you taking to the skies to protect transport jets that could be defenseless if a storm was to hit, and that's exactly what happens. The first half of the mission has you stuck in one of the transport jets because the doors are having issues opening, and once it's open, you're free to boost around to any of the other transports, eliminating all threats. The mission really has you worrying about your energy as you're flying thousands of feet above the surface. When the mission ends, you're given an urgent request to ambush some Crest forces that have been lured a bit too far from where they should be. If you accept and board the transport, you'll start one of the more difficult missions in the game. The moment you land, the storm that was affecting you in the sky is still affecting you in the desert, this time affecting your visibility and lock-on systems. Enemies definitely aren't in short supply, and they're not easy to fight either. An option you probably won't think available until the second attempt is waiting out the storm, taking cover on some of the hills that are around the area. When the storm clears and all forces have been destroyed, you get a little surprise.
Enemy AC detected.
You're good, but that last battle must have worn you down.
Damage has been taken, ammo has been spent, and now you're getting ambushed yourself by one of the toughest arena pilots in the game. If you take too long to kill him, a bomber will come give you a hand. This is something you could possibly not see, and the extra amount of detail given to this mission and some of the others adds even more to the already immersive game. Honestly, there's just so many interesting, rewarding missions in this game. I can go on all day, but let's hop over to the story. Silent Line is to Master of Arena what Armored Core 3 was to the original Armored Core. And when I say that, I mean it's almost a replica of Master of Arena, the only difference being the lack of focus on the arena specifically. The first half of the game has you immersed into the role of a mercenary. You don't really even see the Silent Line for the first half of the game, and honestly I'm fine with that. So many of the previous game's stories just felt like they were dragging on, but I don't get that same feeling with Silent Line. The same corporations from Armored Core 3 are fully running the show now. Mirage and Crest being the big two, and Kisaragi being much smaller. Union no longer exists and they're not even mentioned. The days of the controller have long passed and focus is all on expansion, until interests pop up concerning the Silent Line. As companies develop into the Silent Line, random attacks start to occur and a mystery is built around the region. The first mission starts out easy, with us eliminating a rogue engineer.
Raven, we have an urgent assignment. Your target is one of the engineers involved in the construction of our newest facility. He must be eliminated. The facility in question will eventually serve as a military outpost. The fact that it is still under construction does not in any way diminish our concern for maintaining secrecy. To this end, all engineers involved in the project are to be confined there for an unspecified amount of time upon its completion. One of them refused and took control of the security system. It may seem like a drastic measure, but the only way we can guarantee his silence is to eliminate him. Good luck.
Next up we have a mission that has us returning to Old Laird, where we're told after that the majority of humans are still living underground in this city. They sure haven't been doing a good job keeping the place clean. Many missions pass and we're given a request from Kisaragi. A power plant is on fire and most likely it's due to sabotage, and we need to manually activate the sprinkler system. If you don't have a good radiator, you'll see yourself overheating and taking a lot of unnecessary damage. And I gotta say, this game has a pretty impressive soundtrack. It does a good job setting the tone for all the stages. After saving the power plant, we're told of an intruder on the floor above us. Upon finishing the mission, an employee from the Artificial Intelligence Office named Sarah Cross thanks us. She says the unit we encountered appears similar to those involved in attacks on facilities located near the Silent Line, and the attacks are becoming more frequent. The next mission is to destroy a high-speed cargo transport traveling in the underground tunnels, and it's very similar to a mission in Armored Core 2, and it's a good showcase of just how far the series has come. The mission in the previous game was really easy. Take out the two turrets on top to immobilize the transport, but here in Silent Line it's made harder and expanded upon. If you blow up the back of the transport, a huge turret will start shooting at you. There's also turrets lining the side and the whole transport can be hit to destroy it. It's a hard mission because the transport goes much faster than the average AC, and if you're not equipped for the challenge you'll fall behind, failing the mission. The next mission is a funny one. The goal is to compete with two other ACs to break the most targets, but it quickly boils down to a free-for-all. The mission briefing makes it sound like it's going to be a friendly competition, but in reality it boils down to a bloodbath. And moving on, this next mission is a tough one. Crest mistakenly built a weapons factory a bit too close to the Silent Line, and in turn it's been a constant target of attack. Mirage plans to capitalize on this and destroy the facility. Half the MTs you fight have super accurate missile launchers, Another half are these really fast aerial MTs that harass the shit out of you. To make matters worse, not too long into the mission, a laser from outer space starts taking pot shots at you. I can't really even call them pot shots because if you stop or backtrack, you'll be in a world of hurt. But that's not even the end to this mission. Whenever the laser's done firing at you and you've destroyed all the MTs, one of those mysterious units from the Silent Line comes to kill you. So yeah, not an easy mission. The game steps up in difficulty as we're asked to investigate the location of the controller we destroyed in the previous game. Crest is hiring their own Raven to go investigate the site, and Mirage wants us to do the same. The thing is, Crest didn't just send one Raven, they sent 3. Going down the elevator, there's an AC that gets the drop on you, and another AC is waiting in the room right before the controller, guarding the location. It's a really awkward fight due to all the pillars that have fallen on the ground, and only a couple minutes in, backup arrives to try and take you out. It's funny, previous games would fill up your health and ammo before a big fight, but Silent Line really isn't like that. There's just no respect. And don't be surprised at the end of the game when your butthole has been loosened up a bit. Things do not get easier. By completing the mission, Mirage has uncovered sensitive information on the satellite, which has been the primary deterrent from accessing the Silent Line region. This satellite was the one firing at us in the previous mission. Mirage hopes the information will provide them with the satellite's position and maybe even a means to take control of it, and after some time passes, that's exactly what they get. We get a message from Sarah Cross asking what we think Mirage will do with that much power at their fingertips. She wonders if humanity is once again headed for self-destruction, and if Mirage, or any human for that matter, can wield that sort of power responsibly. All good thought-provoking questions. With Crest soon to be backed into a corner, they launch a massive attack on Mirage headquarters. Our part in the defense is easy. Guard the roof and prevent anyone from landing. But Silent Line just wouldn't be Silent Line without a challenge.
AC target identified. Commencing attack.
We barely survive with our lives, and Mirage gains control of the space laser. Except, not really. An interruption occurs upon uplink and the satellite starts opening fire on humanity. All the AI-controlled units and fortresses have also malfunctioned, and with all this happening, the corporations enact martial law. And our goal is now? Test a new generator for a company. Humanity is dealing with an extinction-level threat, and we're here testing out a new generator. But hey, what AC pilot wouldn't enjoy expanded generator capacity and reduced energy consumption? Anyways, you get ambushed by some flying thing because the company didn't have enough carbon credits for the test. Moving on in double time, we stop a fortress's glitchy AI and manually shut down the satellite that's been killing everyone. Upon destruction, Mirage tells us the technology of the satellite is strikingly similar to the technology the Artificial Intelligence Office has been selling to the two companies. And now Sarah Cross won't even pick up the phone. And it also turns out no one has met anyone from the company in person. Continuing on, we investigate the site that hijacked Mirage's upload to the satellite, only to find a fully working underground fortress that we have to explore. Upon clearing the fort, an underground tunnel leading to a second layered is uncovered, and with this we can finally piece together the puzzle. Just like Armored Core 1's universe had 2 controllers, so does this one. The Artificial Intelligence Office was nothing more than this second controller toying with humanity. Looking back on it, the questions Sarah Cross gave us sound more like a test to see if humanity would throw themselves into another great destruction type event. Maybe the results of the companies trying to destroy each other is what made this new controller not want to relinquish its control to humanity and instead send humanity back to the Stone Age. Whatever the case, it's time to end this new controller, and with that said, embark on the final mission.
I'm waiting. Checking serial number XA26483. Registration confirmed.
Switching modes. Engaging final directive. System phase 22-4. Engaged. Confirmation check. Disconnecting. Reverting to safe mode. Main system shutdown. XA26483. My function is complete. Raven. The rest is up to you.
Raven, can you hear me? Raven, please copy. Over.
The controller has been defeated, and at least for today, humanity is at peace. I wonder what the controller meant when it said the rest is up to you. One thing's for certain, war never changes. Loading our save, we can finish missions that we missed and collect parts we no doubt missed. If you 100% the game, you can unlock OP Intensify if you haven't carried your save over, but let me just be the first to tell you that that's going to take a lot of time. Finishing all missions and defeating any new arena opponents will unlock the combatant Nameless. He's never competed in the arena before, but judging him solely by his rank would be a mistake. He uses a fast AC equipped with some of the best weapons in the game. Efficient at close and long range, he earns the title of toughest mech in the arena. Just like Armored Core 3, there's an extra arena unlocked after beating the standard arena. It's a 2v2 arena that pairs up participants from the standard arena. The one thing that's new is you can co-op with an AI. So let's talk about the AI. After making a mech, you can register it as an AI, and when you first do so, it's about as dumb as a pet rock. It's even more pathetic than the lowest ranked pilot in the arena, so what exactly is going on? To train this AI, you need to fight arena opponents using the AC itself, but the dumb part is you can't train while going through the arena naturally. This means you really have to go out of your way to get any use out of this optional feature, and only doing a few matches won't get you anywhere. This is why I've always ignored this feature, because you have to refight arena opponents you've already beaten, but since it's for this video, I decided to go through the whole arena one more time, from top to bottom. Every single opponent refought. My goal was to make a tanky mech that was extremely offensive with the best firepower I could bolt on it. The Kurosawa and offhand sniper paired with the solid round orbital core was my best bet. I named the AC Plow and went on a 1.5 hour detour to program it. I lost 2 rounds, first taking a large missile to the face to this asshole, and second to Nameless himself, and I was a little bit worried. Maybe this could have messed up everything, but going into testing I was surprised to get everything I asked for. The computer copied my movement very accurately, weaving while jump boosting and just consistently loading into the enemy. Going into the first 2v2 it wrecked the other AC before I could even beat mine. which just really blew my mind. But the real test was against the rank 1 pilots in the duel arena, and after doing the fight a few times, it feels like there was a 50% chance that we rather wiped the opponents or they wiped us out. So I'd say it turned out pretty good. Maybe it could have been better if I kept trying to train it, but I'm more than happy with the results. So, Armored Core Silent Line. It's my favorite game in the series even compared to later games. It kept the improvements and immersiveness of all the previous games in the franchise, while adding in almost twice the amount of parts. The difficulty is the hardest it's been so far, and that's just something I really like. The controls are the biggest negative, but that's something every Armored Core game prior had an issue with. This game is also strikingly similar to Master of Arena, just like Armored Core 3 was to Armored Core 1. If you learned anything or got any enjoyment out of the video, show your appreciation with a like and a comment. The next game in the series is Armored Core Nexus, so subscribe to keep track. Nexus is one of the most disappointing games for me, but I know that only rings true for probably half of the Armored Core fans. I've beaten it probably 5 times in the past and never taking a liking to it, but maybe 6 times the charm. Huge thank you for everyone that's been supporting the channel. Last video I think we were under 100 subscribers and we've easily made it to over 1,000 at light speed. And just letting you know, every other video I want to be an Armored Core video, so let me know what you want next. I'm torn between trying the earlier Thief games and returning to Lost Planet 2. One of my favorite Capcom games before they went Western. Dragon's Dogma is officially getting its sequel, and that's a game I've been playing and would love to make a video on. Just let me know in the comments below what you want to see. Also, let me know if I should try live streaming on YouTube. It would be around 4 PM Mountain Time Zone Monday through Friday. It'd be a lot for me to figure out, but if I can average 15 viewers, I'd be down. So once again, thank you everyone, and I hope you have an awesome day.